The rain hammered against the windows of our small apartment in Manchester, mirroring the storm inside me. Alistair, a 43-year-old IT specialist, had always considered myself a logical man, a man of systems and solutions. But there was no logic to be found in the chaos that had become my life. It all started subtly, almost imperceptibly. My wife, Braunt, a vibrant and charismatic marketing manager, started spending more time at the office. Late nights, early mornings, the usual excuses of a demanding job. I didn't suspect anything at first. We'd been married for 15 years, a seemingly solid foundation built on love, trust, and shared dreams. We dreamed about traveling the world, having a family, and growing old together. But somewhere along the way, the path we were on had diverged, leading us to this desolate crossroads. The first red flag, I realize now, was the change in her phone habits. Braunt had always been open with her devices, leaving her phone unlocked on the coffee table, sharing funny memes and articles with me throughout the day. But lately, she'd become fiercely protective of it, always keeping it face down, quickly deleting notifications and taking calls in hushed tones in another room. I chalked it up to a sensitive project at work, something confidential she couldn't discuss. I wanted to trust her, needed to trust her. The alternative was too painful to contemplate. Then came the unfamiliar perfume. It wasn't the floral scent she usually wore, but something musky and expensive, clinging to her clothes like a secret. When I asked about it, she brushed it off, saying a colleague had given her a sample. Again, I tried to believe her, but the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was beginning to sprout. The final straw was the weekend getaway she supposedly took with her girlfriends. A spa retreat in the Cotswolds, she said. A chance to relax and unwind. I encouraged her to go, thinking she deserved a break, but something felt off. The details were vague, her enthusiasm forced. I couldn't shake the feeling that she was lying. Driven by a gnawing unease, I did something I never thought I was capable of. I snooped. While Braunt was at work, I went through her phone. The guilt washed over me in waves, but the need to know was overwhelming. I started with her text messages, scrolling through conversations with friends and family, finding nothing amiss. Then I checked her call history, and that's when I saw it. A number I didn't recognize, called frequently and at odd hours. My heart pounded in my chest as I copied the number into Google. The search results led me to a LinkedIn profile. Kaelan, a senior executive at Braunt's company. A wave of nausea washed over me as I clicked on his profile picture. He was handsome, charismatic, and everything I wasn't. The logical part of my brain tried to rationalize it, to find an innocent explanation. Maybe they were working closely together on a project. Maybe they were just friends. But deep down, I knew the truth. The pieces of the puzzle clicked into place, forming a picture of betrayal so vivid and painful that it took my breath away. I scrolled further through Braunt's phone, my hands trembling. I found a folder of photos hidden deep within her gallery. Photos of Braunt and Kaelan, laughing, holding hands, kissing. Photos taken during the weekend getaway she claimed to have spent with her girlfriends. The world seemed to spin around me, the walls of our apartment closing in. I felt like I was suffocating, drowning in a sea of lies and deceit. How could she do this to me? How could she betray our marriage, our love, our life together? I sank to the floor, clutching the phone to my chest, tears streaming down my face. The pain was unbearable, a searing ache that ripped through my soul. I felt like I had been punched in the gut, winded and unable to breathe. After what felt like an eternity, I managed to pull myself together. I knew I couldn't stay in the apartment, surrounded by the ghosts of our shattered dreams. I needed to confront Braunt, to hear her explanation, to understand why she had done this. But I also needed time to process the information, to steel myself for the inevitable confrontation. I packed a bag and left a note for Braunt, telling her I needed some space and would be staying at a hotel for a few days. I didn't mention what I knew, wanting to give her a chance to come clean. But deep down, I knew she wouldn't. Honesty had never been her strong suit. The next few days were a blur. I checked into a small, nondescript hotel on the outskirts of Manchester and spent my time pacing the room, replaying the images in my head, trying to make sense of it all. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think of anything else. The betrayal consumed me, poisoning my thoughts and emotions. I considered confronting Kaelan, storming into his office and demanding answers, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. It would only make me look like a fool. I needed to be strategic to plan my next move carefully. I spoke to a lawyer who advised me to gather evidence and prepare for a divorce. The thought of ending our marriage, of losing everything we had built together, was devastating. But I knew I couldn't stay with Bront, not after what she had done. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. When I finally returned to the apartment, Bront was waiting for me, her eyes red and swollen. She launched into a tearful apology, claiming it was a mistake, a moment of weakness. She begged me to forgive her, promising it would never happen again. But her words rang hollow. I had seen the photos, read the messages. I knew the truth. "It's over, Bront," I said, my voice cold and detached. "I know about Kaelan. I know about the weekend getaway. I know everything." Her face crumpled, her carefully constructed facade crumbling before my eyes. She tried to deny it at first, but when she realized I had proof, she broke down completely. She confessed everything, admitting to a months-long affair, claiming she was unhappy in our marriage, that I wasn't giving her enough attention. I listened in silence, my heart aching with each word. The excuses were pathetic, the justifications weak. She tried to blame me for her infidelity, painting me as a neglectful husband, a workaholic who didn't appreciate her, but I knew the truth. She was selfish, entitled, and incapable of taking responsibility for her actions. "I deserve better than this, Alistair," she sobbed, clutching at my arm. "I deserve to be happy." "And what about me, Bront?" I asked, my voice trembling with anger. "Don't I deserve to be happy? Don't I deserve to be treated with respect and honesty?" She had no answer. I told her to leave, to pack her things and get out of my life. I couldn't bear to look at her, to be in the same room with her. She begged me to reconsider, to give her another chance, but my mind was made up. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings and emotional turmoil. The divorce was messy, acrimonious, and expensive. Bront fought me every step of the way, demanding a large share of our assets, claiming she was entitled to it after years of marriage. But I refused to back down. I had been betrayed, lied to, and humiliated. I wasn't going to let her take everything from me. During the divorce proceedings, I discovered that Bront had been embezzling money from our joint account to fund her affair with Kaelan. She had been using the money to pay for their romantic getaways, expensive dinners, and lavish gifts. The revelation was like a slap in the face, another layer of betrayal added to the already unbearable pain. I presented the evidence to my lawyer, who added it to the divorce proceedings. Bront was furious, accusing me of trying to ruin her life. But I didn't care. She had ruined mine. In the end, I won the divorce case. Bront was ordered to repay the embezzled funds and received a significantly smaller settlement than she had hoped for. She left our apartment with nothing but her clothes and a tarnished reputation. Kaelan, on the other hand, faced his own consequences. His wife, upon learning of the affair, filed for divorce and sued him for adultery. He was fired from his job and ostracized by his colleagues. His life, like Bront's, was in ruins. I moved out of our apartment and found a small, quiet cottage in the countryside. I needed to escape the city, to find peace and solitude. I spent my days hiking, reading, and reconnecting with nature. It was a slow and painful process, but I slowly began to heal. The scars of betrayal would always be there, but they no longer defined me. I learned to forgive myself for being naive, for trusting the wrong person. I learned to appreciate the simple things in life, the beauty of nature, the warmth of friendship. And I learned that I was stronger than I thought. I had survived the storm, and I had emerged stronger and wiser. Years passed. I rebuilt my life, focusing on my career and my personal growth. I met new people, made new friends, and even started dating again. But I never forgot Bront or the pain she had caused me. One day I received a letter from her. It was a rambling, desperate plea for forgiveness. She claimed she was alone and miserable, that she regretted her actions and wished she could turn back time. She begged me to give her another chance, to let her back into my life. I read the letter with a mixture of pity and contempt. I had moved on, built a new life for myself. I had no room for her in my world. I wrote her a short, polite reply, wishing her well but making it clear that there was no chance of reconciliation. I sealed the letter and dropped it in the post box, closing the final chapter of our story. I never heard from her again. I often wondered what became of her, whether she ever found happiness. But I didn't dwell on it. My focus was on the future, on creating a life filled with joy, love, and honesty. The rain still fell in Manchester, but it no longer bothered me. I had weathered the storm, and I had emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. That was my story. A story of heartbreak, betrayal, and ultimately survival. A story I hope you never have to experience.